Hey there, Goblin Gang. Nico here with the Ferro Concepts FCPCv5 plate carrier. I've had it for a few weeks now, and after some early issues, I can say that I really like it. Next to it, I have the LBT 6094, and we'll be comparing them. Now, I know I said that I'm not going to do this very often, but this time it does make a lot of sense to compare them, and I'll explain that more once we get to it. So without further ado, let's get started. Like most of my carriers, this FCPC is medium-sized. It's specifically made for the U.S. military market, full Berry compliance, so U.S. material, U.S. manufacturer, and that implies, and it is, SAPI-sized. The body side of the plate bags have stretch panels to help it adjust to different size plates, but it's very much a close fit for a medium SAPI. Internally, there's a stiffener strap. I'll have a better picture here, but it does have the attachment point is on that stiffener to make sure that there's no sagging in the plate once you put it in. My HESCO 3810 in medium goes in perfectly, and it's a very nice and snug fit. There we go. I'll chalk this up later so we can take a look at exactly how well it fits, but trust me on this for now. For completeness sake, I also tried it with the RMA 1155 multi-curve, which is a 10 by 12 plate, and it doesn't quite fit. I'm sure with enough spit and force, and believe me, I did try this off camera, you could possibly get it in, but it's pretty tight, and I really just stopped working on it. Ferro claims that this will fit a 10 by 12 plate up to 1 inch in thickness. The 1155 is right at 1 inch. This could be maybe because the geometry of the multi-curve is a little bit more complicated and takes up a larger effective volume. And my buddy that I bought this from was using it with HESCO 4401s and L210s, which are both 10 by 12 plates, but are thinner than 1 inch. So just be aware, if you have a 10 by 12 plate that you're trying to use with this and you're getting close to the 1 inch in thickness thing, it might not fit at all. This is definitely a dedicated SAPI cut carrier, and you should be aware of that. Okay, so I've got the 3810 back in here, and the plate is just secured with a bottom flap and a Velcro piece right here. Like I said, it's a very nice snug fit, so it's really solid. I generally don't like bottom flaps as much as, say, a plate lifter, but with a perfect fit like this, you're not going to really see a problem with it. On the rear plate bag, this flap, hold on, does double duty, covering the attachment point for the Cummerbund, which is this panel right here. Let's get the Cummerbund on. Get it lined up right. And now I've got it closed. You can see it's got these zippers here to take Ferro's modular back panels. If you've read my blog post, I'm not a huge fan of back panels. I think they've got a really good and specific use, but you know, a lot of people, especially on the civilian side, who are using these aren't really going to have a lot of use for the back panel, and especially not for how much they cost. The shoulder straps here are a simple but effective Velcro overlap. You can see where I already have it taped up because I am still a pretty small dude, and I had to fold back about an inch to reveal the buckle and ring, which is one of Ferro's more iconic features. So the front bag of the FCPC is attached with a cobra buckle and just a ring here. And that's probably one of the most visually distinct things about the FCPC. In theory, they add a degree of quick release in that you can just pop off one side, and you can swap which side the buckle and the ring are on for your handedness and convenience. However, if you don't also have a quick release cummerbund, that might be of questionable usefulness to you. And you know, it's good to note that Ferro doesn't actually make any quick release cummerbunds. All of theirs are full Velcro overlap and attach. Now, I have mentioned before, I really like using strap pads, and just to clear something up, I don't actually have the real Ferro strap socks. This becomes important because when I put these on, and these are, I actually don't know who made these. Like I said, I bought this used, and these were the pads my buddy had. With these shoulder pads on, it completely covers up the ring and the buckle. So we lose that visual distinctiveness, and more importantly, we lose access to that quick release. This becomes important because these pads are 9 inches long. The Ferro strap socks are 8.5. If you're close to my size, that means that even if you're using the official Ferro strap socks, you might not be able to access the quick release buckle. Like I said, it might be of questionable usefulness, but I don't like having to choose which features I'm going to use, especially when I'm buying everything from the same company. And Ferro only makes a single size of their strap sock. On the other hand, these Bees Combat Systems pads are 6 inches long and leave the buckle exposed while being just as comfortable. So that's something to be aware of if it's something you look into. Back to the rest of the carrier. The back panel has laser cut MOLLE webbing, or laser cut MOLLE sections. It is 6 wide and 10 tall. So depending on exactly how you set up, that's about the equivalent of 5 MOLLE webbing straps on the back. The front has laser cut in this Velcro panel. The center section is actually stitched down, so you can't offset there, but you can see you can put your phone case here, and then the front is just plain Velcro. You can also see here that I've mounted, it's got the vertical cuts, and I've mounted some buckles for female buckles that I still have hanging around from when I was issued the SPCS a great many years ago. From this, you can tell that on the front side, the FCPC is very much built around using a placard or a modular chest rig. Because I did not purchase directly from Ferro, I don't have any of the Ferro chest rigs, so moving forward, I'll just be using the S-Tac front panel that I use as my standard baseline. I've been doing my thing with this carrier for the past week or two, and I have to say, I really do like it. Sits just right with this thinner cummerbund. I can attach it to the bottom of the back panel, here, and then to the top of the front Velcro section, which then pushes the rear plate up and while leaving the front plate exactly where I like it to be. It's an incredibly comfortable position, I've found. Keeps it a little bit easier anytime I'm kind of bending backwards, leaning backwards at all. And yeah, it's really nice. The shoulder straps sit really well right on the collarbones. Very stable, leaves my shoulder pockets clear, and with the plate sitting up nice and high. Also, with this in the back, it means I can wear my belt, and it's not going to interact with the, it's not going to block off anything on the plate carrier. The only exception, of course, is the rifle magazine, which goes right here, and that kind of scrapes the bottom, and does make it a little bit harder to lean back, straighten up like that, but it's a very good setup. I do have full mobility in my arms. I can bring my arms all the way across just like this, and it only starts to pinch about here, and I've still got some more movement after that. Puts the magazines right where I like them, and just in general, this is a really solid carrier. I like it a lot. That said, when I did first get it, I really didn't have a good time with it, which is a perfect segue into the next section. Everything up till this point has been talking about the FCPC with this, the Ferro Assault 3-inch Assault Cummerbund. However, when I first got the carrier, it had the A&A Tactical CQ Cummerbund with tubes. Despite the clever naming, I hated it. Still do. Big part of that is because of the size. The guy I bought this this whole setup from is a lot bigger than me. He's 5'11" and weighs 235 pounds, while I am 5'7" and weigh about 145. So that's about 4 inches and nearly 100 pounds on me. This fit him just fine. For me to get it to fit, I had to fully overlap it in the rear. You can kind of see it here, and I'll have another close-up of it. This is how much overlap there was. Looks like about 2 inches of overlap on both sides. And most importantly, that means that the outer one, so this side for how I set it up, isn't actually directly attached to the rear bag of the carrier at all. If you're bigger than me, this might not be relevant, but for me, it just did not fit at all. Secondly, this cummerbund is elastic. I don't like elastic cummerbunds, especially for what I refer to as a general purpose carrier, or possibly full kit is more descriptive. Without stepping on what is definitely going to be another video or a blog post in the near future focusing on cummerbund selection, construction, etc., I find that an elastic cummerbund just does not give the stability I want without having to over tighten it, which in this specific case especially led to the bottom of the back plate digging straight into my spine and being incredibly uncomfortable. It does have the QR tubes from First Spear. I think this is one of their older versions of it, and I like them. I thought they were neat. This was my first time messing around with tubes on a plate carrier. However, I think whatever I think about these, the tubes was basically contaminated by just not liking the whole Cummerbund setup in general. Finally, this Cummerbund does have the storage loops in the band, which are nominally for magazines, but in my experience, and again, how I like to wear a plate carrier, where I like to put it, these ended up basically just sitting in my armpits. And I really wasn't able to easily draw from it without, you know, a little bit more contortion than I really want to do. A better use for them, I found, seemed to be putting the radio in, but when I did that, I still had the channel selector and squelch knob, again, sitting right up in my armpit. Talking to some other people, it seems that the consensus is these aren't really good speed reload locations, but you can use them for storage of things that you might not need quite as much in a hurry, or you might not need as regularly. For example, gloves, maybe part of an IFAC kind of thing, or backup magazines while you're reloading off your front, and then eventually refill from, you know, somewhere on your side. That could be just because of how I wear the Cummerbund, how I bring it up so high on me. But again, something else to consider, and just giving a reason for why I did not like this Cummerbund in particular. Anyway, I replaced it. I do try to stick with the same manufacturer for these reviews, so I went to Ferro. They have 3 Cummerbunds available. First is a plain 3-inch wide elastic Cummerbund. The second is what they call the carry elastic Cummerbund, which has the integrated storage loops, and was also the one I had on the Slickster, if you recall that video. And then finally, the 3-inch assault Cummerbund, which obviously is the one I got. At almost $120, the assault Cummerbund is pretty expensive, especially for something that doesn't have a provision for armor. That said, I love it. This Cummerbund made the FCPC work for me. Like I mentioned earlier, it allows me to offset the attachments to get the plates exactly where I want them. The Tegris inserts stiffens it enough that it holds both plates exactly in place, even when being used as a structural component of the plate carrier, which I really like. It does have MOLLE webbing on it, 2 rows here and here, but it's very tight. If you are mounting anything to this, you're going to need something like my popsicle stick or a butter knife first to pry open the webbing, and then to force whatever strap you're working with through. The inside of the band has loop Velcro, which gives additional security and stabilization for any compatible accessories, such as Ferro's side plate mounts, and several cry pouches. I don't remember specifics off the top of my head, and I'm sure there's some others out there as well. Most importantly for me, though, is that this Cummerbund comes in different sizes. I have the medium, with large and extra large also available. Ferro quotes their sizes in the measurement that I've been using pretty much since I started using tactical gear, which is number of MOLLE columns. This one, the medium is 7, large is 9, extra large is 11. In normal measurements, that means it's 10.5 inches from the Velcro to the Velcro. For comparison, the C Cummerbund is 13.5 inches long in that same measurement, giving an additional 6 inches of waist circumference there. In addition, there is about 1.5 inches of stretch here hidden inside the back attachment, which means one additional molly column of stretch. I did feel it coming out. It's actually very tactile, and if it's kind of quiet, you can really hear it happening. You definitely feel it though. Whenever I was shifting my torso or adjusting outside of the normal space, which I found to be a really nice touch, keeping it very solidly structural with that bit of, I guess, emergency adjustment when you really need it. I've seen people talking about the FCPC as a copy of the 6094, and to be fair, there are some superficial similarities. It's really one main one. I'll get to that in a second. If you don't have the two of them next to one another, it can be a little bit difficult to see and really appreciate the differences. But fortunately, I've got both of them here in sappy medium size. Laid out like this with the Cummerbunds taken off, you can see that they both have a very similar general shape. Specifically, if you look at where the shoulder straps attach and how the back plate is shaped differently from the front plate. The front plates on these have a hexagonal shape cut to about the same shape as the sappy plate, while the back is much more rectangular. What you end up having is the shoulder straps are placed wider on the rear and then come in to be more narrow in the front. This is actually really important, and I think it's incredibly comfortable. It is part of why I really like the way the 6094 feels. And as far as I've seen, this setup is effectively unique to the 6094 and the FCPC. That said, if you know of a different example, please tell me. I'd really like to try it out on a couple other versions. However, laid out next to one another, you can also see there's some pretty big size differences. The 6094 here is a lot bigger and bulkier than the FCPC. And to reiterate, these are both sappy medium carriers. So, where does the difference come from?
The 6094 is what I refer to as a transitional plate carrier. Historically and design-wise, it's one of the first steps from the full soft armor encapsulation of the IBA and the IOTV to the what's now like the modern minimalist plate carrier design. In contrast, the FCPC is what I refer to as a dedicated plate carrier. I'll discuss this spectrum of body armor and a little bit of a timeline as well in a blog post eventually on hagesolutions.org, so that might make a bit more sense. But in the meantime, let's take a practical look at it.
The biggest functional design difference is that the 6094 is designed to work with soft armor backing. Specifically, this is the backer for the front plate. And laid on it, you can see it's the same size. Then, taking this sappy medium plate that I pulled out of the back panel here, you can see that it's got plenty of space around the sides. Right there. In fact, the soft armor backer is nearly, actually it's a little bit bigger than the sappy large silhouette I have cut out for earlier videos. Now when we compare it to say the FCPC, you can still see that there's definitely some overlap, while the sappy medium plate itself is effectively the same size as the front plate bag. For a little bit more detail, I'm going to go ahead and chalk these up so we can see exactly where those lines lie. Okay, so I've got them chalked up now. Let's take a better look than my recording setup shows. Okay, so on the 6094, we can see that there's a lot of space. Up at the top, it gets pretty close to the top, but then on the sides, and especially the bottom, we're looking about 1.5 inches of space all around. So that's where a lot of the bulk on the 6094 is coming from. On the other hand, the FCPC has what basically like a cornering error. These are the only two lines you'll see because the plate is all the way out to the edges. I mean, by definition, with the bottom flap, it's right on the bottom, and the sides are perfectly fit. So we can definitely see there's a lot of extra space here on the LBT, which is taken up by the soft armor. Now, let me go grab the marked up shirt and we'll take a look at how it actually sits on me. So we've got the shirt here. We can compare how they ride. In an attempt to be more considerate towards my viewers with red-green color blindness, I tried to use a different color. Immediately after drawing it, I realized orange and red were probably a bad choice, but that's what I did. We can live with it for now. Looking at it, there are a couple surprises and some that really aren't that surprising. Big thing here is that, so the orange is the 6094, goes along here, while the red, which is the FCPC, is right here. We can see that the FCPC leaves the shoulder more free, which is about what I felt while I was practicing shouldering to compare. What I did find very surprising, especially considering how much bulkier and bigger the front plate on the 6094 is compared to the FCPC, is that the bottom is almost the same spot. You can see where it's a little canted here from reaching across and drawing like that, but you can see that they're within about 1/4 to 1/2 inch of each other at the bottom. So leaning forward, bending over is pretty similar in both of them. However, up near the neck is where we start seeing a pretty significant difference. First, the insides of the straps basically follow the same line. Makes a lot of sense considering how similar the shoulder strap mounting is. However, the 6094 comes up almost 1 inch higher on my chest, my collarbone, my décolletage, what have you, which shows you where that bulk is going. Other differences are a lot more obvious. 6094 has the integrated front flap and uses moly webbing, actual webbing, while the FCPC has just some laser cut moly up here and no front flap. The 6094 has a pass-through cummerbund, while the FCPC has a flap and Velcro attachment for Velcro on cummerbunds. 6094 is sold as a single piece. The FCPC is parted out and sold modularly. I might come back to this comparison when the next version of the 6094 releases, but you can see how these two are actually really distinct despite, one big similarity. Despite pointing out all those differences, the FCPC really does feel like a modernized, modular, somewhat minimalist version of the 6094. And that's not a bad thing at all. Either one of these is going to be a solid carrier, but they do have some different use cases despite that overlap. Between the two, the FCPC is obviously smaller and less bulky. On the other hand, if you are mostly using direct MOLLE attachment, the 6094's webbing is probably going to work better for you than the laser cut MOLLE here. However, the 6094, without any Velcro here, really does not play well with placards. And if you are going to be doing that, go with the FCPC. If you want to have integrated soft armor into your vest, then the FCPC doesn't have any provision for it, while the 6094 absolutely does. If you have thicker 10 by 12 plates, you might have some problems fitting it into the medium FCPC. They fit no problem over here in the 6094. So if you have standalone plates and are trying for a more minimalist kit or just generally carrying less, the FCPC is going to be the choice for you. Finally, price. As I have it here with the plate bags, the Assault Cummerbund, and if these were the Ferro strap socks, the FCPC costs $518 plus shipping. The 6094 here is listed at about $512 plus shipping. Now, I've been watching Ferro a little closer recently, and I still don't know what their sales cycle looks like, how regularly that happens, or how deep their discounts get. That said, this past Black Friday, they were listed at 10 to 20% off of the regular prices, and that was a pretty big deal to one of my friends who was shopping for Ferro at the time. On the other hand, the 6094 is discounted at 15 to 20% off as soon as you make an account on the LBT website. And at any given point, it seems like there's about a 1 in 3 chance that some specific version of the 6094 is going to be on sale for about $250. And that occasionally comes with some extra goodies thrown in, like I want to say a couple months ago they had the kangaroo triple magazine pouch insert there. Depending on how much of a rush you're in, that could be that sales cycle could be important. If you are okay with elastic cummerbunds, which obviously I am not, you can save about $60 to $90 by getting one of Ferro's elastic cummerbunds, and you can drop the strap socks for another $32 off. That said, you're still looking at about $300 to get into a FCPC at the most minimal version of it. In the end, it really is up to you. I do hope I've given you some information that you might find useful and some good points of comparison to think about to help you make your choice.
As always, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Share this video with anyone you think could get some use out of it. And don't forget to tell me I'm short down in the comments. I'm still doing this out of pocket, so do check out the Goblin Dynamics store, which is linked down in the description. If you can't get enough of me, the company Twitter is linked there as well, along with Maid's blog that I occasionally write articles for when something becomes too complex and not visual enough to make a video out of it. Have a good one.